Alright, so hang on, let me just mute that. There we go. Let me just see if my audio is working, and I think it is. So hang on, let me just mute that. Yeah, I need to sort my microphone out just a smidgen. Just a smidgen, just a smidgen. Let's try that again. How do I sound? Just a smidgen. Let's try that again. How do I sound? Yeah, that sounds better. I'm not going to deal too much with the sound and stuff. But hello everybody, how are you all doing tonight? I was going to be joined by a buddy of mine's, 404 TV, but sadly he was feeling unwell tonight, so we're just going to leave it for probably another day. But I hope you're all doing very well tonight. I'm probably assuming it's all going to be like, you know, one or two people in the chat, because I've only just started streaming on this channel. This is so if you're new, welcome to my my main channel. I don't suppose I'm going to have a lot of people watching this stream, but hey, it may be a fun ride. You never know. Maybe something quiet or something fun. So hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, I went to see the FNAF film yesterday. And I'm going to try my best to try and make it as spoiler-free as possible. There will be some vague stuff that I might point out based on stuff like, you know, the blurb on IMDb, for instance. You know, essentially the basic plot point of it. And then I'll point out some stuff that happened with the trailer and stuff. But because the movie is still out, it's only just came out like recently, as in like at least is this like the first week? I'm not too sure how long it's been since it was released in the US. Probably just like a day before ours, but came out on Friday, which was like yesterday, and I have to say, I was pointed out by another friend, not related to the group I went with, that, you know, people were saying that, you know, game was the film was going to suck and stuff. It was it was bad. It was boring and that kind of stuff. As it turns out, that was the critics and places like Rotten Tomatoes and or Tomatoes, whatever suits yourself, but it's just like I'm going to be a bit rambly tonight because that is how I roll with stuff like that. But essentially, when I was first made aware of the critic scores and that kind of thing, I was just like, yeah. And then literally I look at Rotten Tomatoes today, and oh boy, I think it's standing at like 25% rotten, but the audience score is way like in the 80s or 90s somewhere. It's just fantastic. It's just, you know, amazing, the whole thing. But yeah, I will say, if you haven't seen the film yet, take the time to go and see it, because it was actually a very, very fantastic film. Not a groundbuster, but it was essentially the same sort of it's not groundbreaking, that kind of thing, but it was very, very engaging. So much it was interesting because one of the critics I read one of the critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and one of them was basically saying how it was boring and all that kind of stuff. It actually wasn't, if I'm being quite frank. Oh god, that's loud. But yeah, it wasn't actually all that dull at all, actually. There were some moments where it was kind of like slowed down. It was kind of there was kind of moments where the film had kind of like slowed down, but being that it's a horror film, I think that was on purpose, and it was slowed down enough where you were given time to actually kind of understand what was happening. And there was also elements where it was slowing down, obviously because there was tense moments in the film. I'm going to try and be as vague as possible when it comes to describing some of these moments. But I tell you, if the game, if that movie is really as bad as the critics say it is, why is it 89%? I think it's 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. And furthermore, when you're sitting in the cinema in the screen room, you know a film is probably going to bomb. And I'm saying, let me just say this. I'm saying this sarcastically, just so you know. But you know that a game is sucking, or a movie is sucking, when the whole room is laughing at the jokes that are in the film. There's plenty of jokes, and there's also enough moments where this is not good. Not too spoiler this bit, but if you're interested, if you are a FNAF fan at heart, and when it comes to the lore and such, if you're really diehard into the lore of the FNAF series, I will say the movie might be a little bit disappointing for you because it's got some lore elements in it, but a lot of the lore elements that are in the film are essentially flipped on their head. So there's a lot of I always said there's a lot of reference material, there's a lot of fan service and reference material in there. And there's a lot of cameo appearances of certain, well-established faces within the FNAF space, whether it's characters or real-life people. I'm not going to reveal who those people are. But yeah, there's enough material there. But essentially, if you're looking to watch the film for potential, conclusions, any potential answers to questions that were introduced in the actual game series itself, it's a bit disappointing, I will say, in that regard. But I think it's for the better because essentially the film kind of exists in its own sort of space. It's essentially like the Sonic films. There's elements from the live action Sonic films which do exist, that kind of take elements from what happens in the games and such, but it's essentially a completely different animal. It's not like entirely the same thing. But if you're interested in what the film has to offer, I think it offers just enough. There's enough funny moments, a lot of comedic moments. There's a lot of like wholesome moments as well. There's also a lot of moments of tension and horror, and real gripping moments. And one tradition that's been retained within the film is the jump scares. One tradition that's remained in the franchise. If you're expecting jump scares within the film, it has that. So, hey Ash, how are you doing? I've not seen you before. Where are you from? What server are you from? I'm going to self-promote myself on my Twitter. Hashtag FNAF. Hashtag FNAF. FNAF movie. Right now. No spoilers. But hey Ash, I hope you're doing okay though. Just to say this stream is going to be virtually no spoilers. There will be some vague bits I talk about because I do think it's interesting to mention. But yeah, as I say, when it comes to when it comes to the film, there's a lot of like key moments, key elements which if you're into a lot of fan service kind of moments, and if you're into reference material, that kind of stuff, there's a lot of that there. When it comes to the FNAF film. But I will say, when the audience is all like joining in and laughing, you can tell how well the film is doing already in its first night when it's screening. When the entire room is laughing at jokes in the film or reference to stuff, and there's a few occasions where there's references to the games and such, you can hear the entire room going just gasping, just like, oh my god. And there's a few key elements in the film as well where ow, that was loud. Alright, well thanks for that Ash, welcome to the channel, but I'm going to try and turn that down for the next stream actually, but as I was getting on to The movie, as I say, it has a lot of reference material in it, and there's also some key moments as well where it left the room gasping and just like just like in pure like, horror, because there's a few moments in the film where main characters get injured essentially. By what or by who, I'm not going to say, but there's a few moments. It's not, if you're expecting a lot of gore, it retains a lot of the kind of like creepy kind of stuff. It's kind of got a kind of, hey Nacho, how are you doing? It's got a kind of like a Halloween. If you're familiar with the Halloween films, the first Halloween film, it was so low budget. And one of the things that they had in the film, it was mostly visual stuff, but there was no blood in the film. In the FNAF film, it's supposed to be rated like PG-13. There's some blood in it, but it's not enough that it's going to be shock horror kind of thing. And I do think the FNAF film kind of echoes the original kind of like filmmaking principles of the first Halloween film. There's minimal blood, but there's just enough horror there to get you going. Really nice YouTuber. Thanks, Eggy. You can spoil it. I'm not going to watch it, Lamo. Well, you can maybe wait for another stream kind of thing. I'm not going to spoil it too much. As I said, I'm going to be vague enough, hopefully, in my review of this, as well as a little bit rambly, because that is just how I roll with this kind of stuff. I do notice that my ticker at the bottom has not updated yet. It doesn't say anything new. Guys, how are you today? Well, I hope you're all doing very well, though, Mystic, Eggy, and Ash, to be fair. But yeah, the film, it was phenomenal, and also, as I say, there was moments in the film where you had people laughing at certain moments that were key moments that were kind of comedic and that kind of thing. Kind of wholesome moments. There was a few occasions where I think there was the screen had went at some of the more wholesome moments, and then, as I say, there was more like gasp of horrors at key moments where a certain character gets injured in the film. As I say, there's a lot of key elements that make it into the film. There's not, as I say, it's not. It's essentially its own animal when it comes to the FNAF series and stuff. It's in its own little timeline, as far as I could probably see. It focuses on the character from the first FNAF game, and it is weird. I do kind of feel as though there's going to be some kind of like switch kind of thing. It's going to be essentially like the Sonic films, if in theory, because to the very end, if you don't already know, there's some foreboding that there's an idea for a sequel. So I wouldn't be surprised if there actually was. But as I say, I do think the films are going to take on, just like the Sonic films, are going to take on a kind of different approach, story-wise, to the games. Because as I say, there's enough reference material to the games, and there's a lot of fan service material in the film. But as I say, if there's key elements from the games in the movie, they're all like switched about and just kind of like mangled and that kind of thing. And as I say, I think it's for the better. But I'm ready for some spoiler. Well, I'm not going to spoil it this time around. I do apologise for that if you're looking for spoilers here. But yeah, as I say, if you're going to see it, definitely I would recommend going to see it, because it is a fantastic time to be had. I might, to the very end of the stream, I might give away some spoilers. But I'm not too sure how long I'm going to be in the stream, though. Like, as I say, the critics never, I would probably say never like take anything the critics say seriously, because it just seems as though the critics, when it comes the critics versus the audiences, there always seems to be a bit of a break in the sort of what's the word? Sorry, I'll play RL, so see ya. What is RL? I'm not watching because I'm from Turkey. Aw, But yeah, I think the movie is fine on its own. There's, as I say, there's enough reference material to get a lot of FNAF fans going. There's a lot of key elements of like pure horror. There's stuff that grip you. And there was as I said, there was a review. Because I read some of the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, for instance, where a couple of the critics were saying, "Oh, it's boring. It's pan and that kind of thing." I kind of feel as though there's a lot of like salty reviews on Rotten Tomatoes there, which is it was similar with the Sonic film as well. There's a lot of people criticising the Sonic film for XYZ reasons, which were kind of dumb. Again, critics versus the audiences, they're never going to never going to agree, because I think the critics are just a little bit kind of just out of touch when it comes to the current tastes in films and such. It's quite difficult to actually explain the stuff that's happened in the film, but if you've seen some of the trailer, you might have seen some elements that do occur. So essentially, the film stars the main character who goes by the name of Mike Schmidt. Mike Schmidt, of course, being a character from the games. I think it's from FNAF 1, actually, ironically. Yeah, he it's very difficult to actually say this without spoiling too much of the film. Essentially, he's going job to job. He's struggling for jobs, and he comes across a job placement for the location of the Five Nights at Freddys location, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and there's some interesting stuff going on there. And eventually, bro on YouTube Everywhere spoiler. Well, essentially, Mike, after bouncing job to job to job, it turns out most of his struggles come from the fact that he's got a very very depressing family situation, where when he was a kid, his brother was taken away, and he essentially goes into dreams and such to try and understand what happened, how did this kind of thing happen, and that sort. So, trying to be vague when it comes to describing the plot. He, after several different places, there's an occurrence where he tries to attack a child's father because he assumes that the father is trying to abduct a child. And of course, it's essentially a case where he's in therapy because essentially he suffers from probably because of the abduction of his brother. He's suffering from a little bit of what's the word? I'm blanking on the word. Trauma, essentially. He's suffering from a little bit of trauma. So he's trying to get over it, and he has a sister that he's trying to take care of financially, because her auntie's trying to take his sister away from him, even, sorry. So he's trying his best to try and look after her as much as possible, but she's being a bit of a nuisance because she's just, she's getting older. So, I'm not too sure. Essentially, people are getting killed. It's not known initially why this is going on. There's an occurrence at the start of the film where one of the security guards gets killed, and it's not known why. We find out later why that is, but he has a babysitter who decides to, against her will, essentially, go after trying to jeopardize Mike's job essentially, along with like I think it's her brother or something. And then things happen, and suddenly they disappear. I would say that not exactly what happens in the film. It's a little bit more different than that. I'm just trying to keep it as vague as possible. How are you making this SFM animation so cool? Well, I do appreciate that. That's just taken like years and years of practice and stuff. And I've also had a friend who's been helping me with teaching me how to use do SFM stuff. And I'm actually contemplating to maybe like reanimate something to do with the film, ironically, because I think it's an interesting little thing to do. But essentially what happens, essentially just like in the games, you know, where the animatronics are haunted by ghosts of children, the same story is said in the film. And of course the animatronics are haunted. So and the animatronics don't take too well to make, but they take well enough to his little sister. Initially, it's not known why, and it's known why later on. And this is where one of the few changes occur from the games to the film. There's a control dynamic that happens between characters and the animatronics and the ghost children who haunt the animatronics. There's a bit of a kind of a control dynamic going on with them. They're being manipulated and that sort of thing. And it's not like the excuses in the game where the phone guy's like, oh, the animatronics, you know, become a bit quirky at night. They might try to stuff you into a suit and that kind of thing. In the film, it's a lot more dramatic. It's a lot more dramatic than just getting stuffed into a copy of Freddy Fazbear's costume and getting crushed in there alive. There's some key elements from FNAF 3, which make their way. FNAF 3 and FNAF 4. No, FNAF 4. With Springtrap, and then you've got, you know, those kind of elements from there. Those kind of elements kind of mash their way into the first film. So you've got those kind of key elements. Springtrap is in the movie? No. Although some elements of the plot elements from that make their way into the film. Some certain key elements, such as getting crushed inside a costume, for instance, that happens more than a few times. But there's also the scooping sort of, for such a location where characters get scooped. Scooping doesn't seem to just happen to animatronics, though. In the film, it also happens to humans as well. So that happens as well. But there is some occurrences that do happen from all of the games. There's key elements from all of the games that happen. So yeah, essentially, I will say, Gitaha, yes, I do suggest you go see the film. Because it is a bang of a time, and as I say, if you're into references, if you're into fan service, it's got all of that. It's a very nicely packaged bundle of FNAF joy, essentially, is what I'll say. There's tons of references to different things. There's cameos of various different kinds of characters from various different games. There's essentially references from like FNAF 1 all the way to Security Breach. In the film. I'm not going to tell you what those are, though. You have to go and find those out for yourself. But there's references, at least at least one reference from here to here from every game, from FNAF 1 all the way to Security Breach to a certain extent. I think Security Breach is going a little bit far. I'd probably say Help Wanted is probably more what I'm going for. But yeah, there's a lot of key sort of elements that happen from, as I said, there's stuff from different games. There's a certain kind of jump scare that happens 3 times in the film, and it's actually funnier every time it happens. But there's a jump scare that happens where there's a little minifigure of a character who seems to just appear out of nowhere whenever Mike Schmidt opens a locker door, because there's lockers in the office that he's working in. So he goes to open one of the lockers, and for the first jump scare, the first thing he sees is this little minifigure of a character just staring back at him, and that's a jump scare. That happens 3 times in the film. It happens again when he walks into a storage room, and I think he's going away because the location's been ransacked, so he goes to essentially go tidy it up. So he goes into the storage room and he gets jump scared again. But he gets jump scared again by this little minifigure of a particular character. I'm being vague. I'm not going to say who the character is, but I'm going to be vague about it. But it's one we all know and love. Happens at the very end. Similarly, it happens to almost to the tail end of the film as well. But as I say, there's more than enough like wholesomeness. There's some fairly decent moments in it of happiness. It's kind of somber. Like there's actually questions that are there's questions that have been created in the film because of the way it ends. Because there's a bit of there's questions that aren't answered. I hope that the movie is nice. I think you're going to like it, Iggy. I think you're going to like it, because I certainly do. And the current trajectory on certain review sites seems to say as much. The audience love it. The critics don't, which is lovely. But oh boy, I love the film. I'm trying to think about certain moments, and I'm trying to see about how to describe them without being too spoilery around them. There's a lot of tense moments in the film that really get you off the edge of your seat. There's a moment almost at the end of the film where you're worried that a character's going to die. That was quite painful, because I'm just sitting at the end of my seat just going, "Oh, please don't, please don't, please don't." There's also a lot of supernatural elements in the film as well. Like, it seems as though the powers of the ghost children seem to be a lot more powerful than they're even let on in the original FNAF series. Like, it seems as though there might be phantoms or something. I'm not too sure what it is. It's not actually shown too well what happens, but as I said, one of the main characters gets injured, and it's not known whether it's the animatronics doing it or if it's the ghost children that are doing it somehow. So it's vague on that amount on that count. But I do like certain moments. It seems as though everyone everyone that's alive essentially in the film seem to be psychic to some degree. They can see ghosts and all that kind of stuff because they can see a kid walking down the street, not knowing it's a ghost. The child talks all right, that kind of thing, but they can't seem to fathom. There's no way of telling that that the child is alive or not. And there's also some references to some of the mini games as well. Let me just say this: there is a reference to the Bite of 87 in the film. One of the characters becomes a victim of the Bite of 87. That happens. For a wee 7 day until the movie. I'll probably rename this stream to Vague Spoiler, because I do realise I am kind of giving some of the game away a little bit. Ionut, is that how you pronounce your name? I do apologise if I'm mispronouncing your name. But Ionut, hello, how are you doing, pal? Hope you're doing very well tonight. But yeah, I'm just talking about the FNAF movie. But yeah, as I say, I will probably say, if you haven't seen the film yet, go and see it. Because it's a banger of a time. A film does very good when the audience is laughing at jokes. As I say, I've already repeated myself several times. I'm just making sure that people get the message coming in. But how a film is doing well when the audience is sitting and engaging with the stuff. They're laughing at certain jokes. There's certain key elements and jokes and wholesome and funny moments that happen. You have to keep in mind the animatronics are being haunted by children, so there's a layer of innocence to them as well, which is quite cute, even though they also become a little bit kind of evil later on. You're playing Roblox. If you're playing, please play Doors. If you're not playing, lol. Yeah, I'm not touching Roblox. I'm sorry. I used to play Roblox. Not a game for me anymore. Especially with all the shady shit that goes on behind the scenes. Nah, never. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff where I'm trying not to spoil it, even though it's just like I want to talk about this bit. It's so good. My creepades. I don't know what that word's supposed to be. But yeah, guys. All I'm saying right here is, if you've not seen the FNAF film, go and see it. It is a buzz. It is literally, it's terrific, essentially. I don't know how many times I can say that, but if you haven't seen it, go see it. Or pirate if you do it, or if you want to. I don't care. But yeah, go and see it because it's a banger of a film. And again, if you're into references, if you're into fan service and all that kind of lovely stuff, the film is just packed full of that stuff. But as I say, it's packaged in a way where I think it works quite well on its own. I think it's like, as I said, I think it's like the Sonic film where you can go into the film with virtually, not needing to understand the lore and such, because there's just enough of it there, in your hand, so to speak, to deal with within the film, and there's enough of it explained. There's enough exposition, it's not too in your throat when it comes to the exposition. I'm turned back. What do you mean I'm turned back? a little bit confusing. Because I always come back. Yeah, there's a few characters that might come back. You never know. Oh boy. There's a few satisfying moments where I'm just like, oh god, that that character just got killed. I don't know whether I should be happy about this or be proud. Just time Springtrap. I do love just how well the film is done. There's a nice little bit of a twist that happens in the middle of the film, and it's related to the whole. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like there's enough of a plot twist at the end to really get you going, but even I'm sitting watching the film going, that character there, that character's a little bit kind of suspect. Please no references to Among Us in chat, but I was looking at a certain character, and just her mannerisms you can tell later on in the film that is going to be a key character. There's another plot twist though as well. Ah, boy. As I say, the film takes a lot of key elements from the games and completely puts them on their head, so to speak. So, some characters who exist with certain kinds of families in the film. I don't know if it's like confirmation for certain plot points in the books and the films, in the games even. But there's a lot of like plot twists where you look at it and go, oh really? Is that how they're going to like rewrite the canon for this whole entire thing? Because there's a whole bunch of like canon flip going on with the film as well. I don't really want to. I really want to say it. As I say, it's really hard. I might, until the very end, I might just give some of the game away. I'm not too sure if I want to. But essentially, there's a key character in Security Breach and Help Wanted who makes an appearance in it. There is a key character from FNAF 3 and 4 who make a key appearance in it. There's some references to the purple guy, although there's no like references to the family that happened. There's no references to that kind of thing. It does reference how evil the purple guy is and that sort of thing. And it does kind of like talk about how one character may or may not be related to another character from one game to the next, meaning that some characters from the entire like human side of the roster, there's a chance that that a lot of the human characters may be more related to each other than we first thought. And I do think it's a bit of a shame though, because one key element that I've just mentioned at the start of the film, that there was no proper closure to the fact. And this is where we're probably going to get into the spoiler bit, so I will probably just put a bumper right here between this. Okay, so we're going to get to some spoilerly bits here, right? Because I want to kind of discuss some stuff that really kind of upsets me about the film that I hope we're going to get some closure on in the sequel if there's any. But I mentioned at the start of the stream that there's a key moment where it's essentially we're following Mike Schmidt, who is a character who appears in it's either FNAF 1 or FNAF 2. And there's been theories for years that Mike Schmidt is essentially Michael Afton. In disguise somehow. This film essentially confirms that that is not the case. Mike Schmidt is his own character. And as I said, the film focuses on him mostly. We reveal his background. His little brother was abducted when he was a kid, only slightly older than him, and he takes care of another younger sister. It's not known what happened to. I think it was kind of vague what happened to his father, but parents kind of just moved their separate ways, kind of thing. His parents died, probably. I think probably due to suicide. I'm not too sure. But this must be movieverse. Yeah, I think that's essentially the case, Eggy. There's no references to any of William Afton or any of his family and that kind of stuff. As I say, there is references to him, and the fact that he is just to spoil this bit. It's probably not going to be too much because I say it's tied to the games. We all know who William Afton is. He is the killer of the kids. So as I said, there's reference to that in the film. So that's probably not going to be too much of a spoiler for too many people. And that sticks. That's one of the main kind of like references to the games. It's kind of like sticks there, remains there. But I will say for a game trying to take on the story from FNAF 1, I do think it's probably meant to be set around around 1995 or that kind of thing, which is what people estimate FNAF 1 is supposed to be estimated, because again, FNAF 2 happens previous to that. So I do believe it's somewhat set in somewhere in the 90s somewhere. But I will say the movie is a lot more active than the actual FNAF game itself, the first FNAF game. And as I say, unlike the games, Mike Schmidt actually does interact with the animatronics at one point, a few points, and along with her sister. His sister, I keep misgendering him, I do apologise, Mike. But Mike, who's played by Josh Hutcherson, which I actually love him as an actor. The first film I watched with him was RV with Robin Williams, rest in peace. But he's brilliant, I will say, in the film. But essentially, yeah, they all interact. Him and his sister all interact with the animatronics. Of course, his sister being young, she seems to strike a bond quite quickly with the animatronics. And there seems to be almost an ulterior motive with the ghost children as well. Initially, the ghost children are just like, listen, you want to know what happened to your little brother. We want something in return. So Mike's initially like, what do you want? Ghost children never mention this again. And then there's a bit of a manipulation plot to the very middle of the movie. And then we start to learn that the ghost children may be getting controlled. And this is where it kind of ends up to the whole supernatural sort of element, where the ghosts seem to be a lot more powerful. The ghost children seem to be a lot more powerful than we're led on. The animatronics are very strong. That's a headcanon I've had for years, and that's came true. They're quite powerful, for being animatronics, of course. There's also moments where, as I said, there's a lot of wholesome moments, a lot of cute and wholesome moments that occur. I'm just trying to think. Just trying to think about what to mention next, because, as I said, there's a lot of interesting stuff I want to mention that I don't want to give the game away yet. It was at the back of my mind as well, but there's a moment that happens, which I thought was quite, as I say, Mike Schmidt, to the very end of the film, he doesn't really get closure. Because, as I say, a lot of stuff happens, and almost to, nearing the end, where he kind of worries that he's put his little sister in danger. So he literally just says, "Listen, I think it's too late to just worry about our brother. I need to focus on you now. So I'm going to focus on you now." So we never get closure on the part of Mike about his younger brother, which I think is quite sad. The ghost child never confirmed what happened to him, where he is, or that kind of thing. Never gets a chance to talk to him. Besides in dreams, where his brother appears in dreams, but it's not known if that's just manipulation on part of the ghost children, who they themselves might be getting manipulated. There's also a lot of other supernatural elements that occur in the film. As I've already mentioned, how the ghost children are supernatural, like they've got a sense of like they've got powers to them, essentially. For whatever reason, there's a wall full of drawings and stuff with the characters, where kids have drawn it and that kind of stuff. And it seems as though that is like the basic power. It's not. There's no references to Remnant in the film or anything, but there seems to be a lot of stuff going on. Like the entire building just seems to be tied somewhat supernaturally to the ghost children. So this board on the wall, full of drawings that kids have done, doodling and all that kind of stuff. The little girl, Mike's little sister, draws us something to remind animatronics what happened to them, because she is able to envisionize what actually happened to them properly, get the truth out, and tells the truth through through drawing it and showing it to them, essentially, and putting on the wall. And it causes this kind of like sort of not a vortex, it's not like a vortex, something like a kind of like a windstorm that happens inside the building, and it essentially causes the entire building to not collapse completely, but it seems to just like make certain things like just fall apart and make certain things implode and that kind of thing inside the building. And the false ceiling just collapses in on itself before Mike and sister and some key other characters who join in on the fight essentially join in, and the animatronics drag away the one of the antagonists who's caused some of the menacing actions in the actual the film. So yeah, there is a very supernatural element to it, which is a lot more. You look back at the lore, how it developed through the first set of FNAF games, FNAF 1 all the way to like 4. I'd say before Central Location essentially, and there was a lot more kind of like a grounded sort of element to those games, where there was a hint that there was some supernatural element going on. The ghosts were taking control of animatronics. Of course, that's supernatural enough. Animatronics normally wouldn't be able to like roam about, be that physically strong to be able to do stuff. I don't think they would be built quite cheaply. These ones in the film are strong enough to destroy stuff essentially, and hurt humans as if we're just made of paper essentially. There's a few key moments of that happening, which is, I find, quite scary. As I say, there's not a lot of visual gore. There's a lot of suggestive stuff that goes on. There's not a lot of blood. It's very Halloween-esque and the blood and stuff. But I will just say this. There's a few characters who you might have thought, oh, that this character might be, you know, related to this one and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of elements where certain characters relating to one another, they've never been fully confirmed. There is some confirmation that some things happen in the games that are left vague in the games that are confirmed in the film, like family ties and that sort of thing. So if you're interested in seeing that, maybe another reason to go and watch the film. There's a lot of family tie kind of bonding elements that happen with it. As I said, there's no references to the crying child. There's no references to Mike Schmidt or Michael Afton even. And as I say, it's confirmed in the film, at least in the film, that Mike Schmidt is not Michael Afton. There's no purple guy. You know, there's no there's no sun turning in or that kind of thing. And I will just say there is references to the spring suits. William Afton, you know, there is the key element that occurs with him, where he eventually gets caught. As I say, this is a spoiler. You know, I did warn. He does get caught. There's no spring trap in this film. I will just say that right now. There's no spring trap in this film. William is pretty much alive in this film. But he gets his comeuppance. So there's some key elements from FNAF 1 and FNAF 4 in there. No, FNAF 3, FNAF 1 and 3, yes, FNAF 1 and 3. FNAF 2, there's no references to the toys. There's no reference to the puppet or anything. But I do hope that we might get something to do with that in a future film. If we get one, I freaking hope there is references to that. But yeah, no, there's no. But that kind of was kind of left out. So yeah, as Eggy said in the chat, there's a chance that you've got the movie verse and you've also got the game verse. They're two completely different animals, two completely different things altogether. So yeah, it was fun, and I get to watch it again in a few days' time because I'm going to be going on holiday soon. So yeah, I get to see it again, as well as the chance to go into Disneyland. Which I will. Speaking of Disneyland, actually, if you're interested, I will hopefully be making a vlog of that. I won't be vlogging my day there, but I will be recording my time at the park. So hope to upload that to the channel. You know, the raw elements and stuff, me going on rides and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, that's essentially my kind of rambling on about the film. Yeah, I would say go and see the film for yourself, and I think you might like it. Personally, I do. As I say, there's a lot of references, a lot of fan service, there's a lot of references to stuff, there's a lot of cameo appearances that occur in the film. Another spoiler, Markiplier does not appear in the film at all, although some other familiar faces do. So, yeah, if that's something that piques your interest in any way, shape and form, make sure to go see it for that reason. But as I say, if you're looking for the film to essentially like answer questions you might have about the lore, that kind of stuff, This film is not it. As I say, it flips some certain elements from the lore around. It confirms some things. It doesn't confirm other things, and it completely leaves other things out of the mix. And there's, as I say, there's a lot of key elements where, even though the critics were saying there's a lot of boring moments, I don't think they're all boring moments at all. I think they're all just, slow moments to try and build tension. But when the tension occurs, it really blows it out of the water when it comes to the tension in the film. There's enough of a noise and a bang that occurs in it, so yeah. I think personally, if you're going to see the film, go and go and see it for what it is. Essentially, keep your expectations low. Don't. Essentially, this is my suggestion for going to see the film. Essentially, lower expectations. As I say, it's essentially its own animal. The film exists in its own right. It's got its own sort of canon, so to speak, or it's a kind of like sub-canon, like the Sonic films. But there is it utilizes some lore elements from the actual games themselves and spins them around to completely new sort of things altogether. As I said, there's a lot of references to stuff, and especially the jump scare, the 3 times the jump scare that occurs in the middle of the movie, which it turns out more funny than scary. As I say, Mike opens the door and you've got this a little minifigure of a character staring back at them, and every time it happens, Mike just turns the figure around, just like I think it's funny in that way. As I said, there's a wholesome moment in the film as well. The little girl seems to have a thing for building indoor tents with like covers and such. So there's of course a wholesome moment in the film where the animatronics are building a little kind of house fort out of furniture, like seats and tables and stuff, and they're all like just resting underneath it like that, as if they're moon gazing, which I think is quite cute. I also find it quite funny as well how she can see the animatronics in their human form. Of course, I think Golden Freddy actually makes an appearance in the film as well. And I say I think because it's not actually, I don't actually know if it is actually him or not. But there's a moment where you've got essentially what looks like Freddy. I think it actually could be Golden Freddy actually. Standing inside their house. And sort of dragging her there. As I said, they're probably being manipulated, so they're under a kind of like thing that's making them manipulate her into going there, because they want to make her a part of them, essentially. Which is oh god, you're sitting in the back of your seat, just like, oh no, don't do it. Just at the back of your seat, just going, oh no. They're gonna kill her. Oh no! But essentially, she can see them in their real child forms. There's a occurrence where one of the adults do as well. They get to see the animatronics in their ghost child form, and essentially one of the ghost children actually lure one of the adults to the potential death in the film as well. But I just find it interesting how she can see more of that than anything else, and I just think most of the characters in the film are just essentially just psychic. They're essentially mediums. They can talk to ghosts and that kind of stuff, which I'm kind of jealous about. I want to see ghosts. Actually, do I? No, I don't think I want to actually. But yeah, there you go. That's basically my ramble of the film. There's a lot going with it, I will say. There's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of stuff that people might go, oh god. But yeah, to me, in my personal opinion, I think it's a good film. It's one of alongside the Sonic film, which I probably think they're probably neck and neck when it comes to which ones I like over the other. The Sonic films, they're comedy sort of drama sort of films. FNAF, horror-com, is that the word for it? Horror comedy, that sort of thing. But essentially, I probably say when it comes to content quality and that kind of stuff, I probably say they're neck and neck. So, you know, if you're interested in seeing the film again, I've already said this once or twice or even 4 times in this stream. And I know there's not a lot of activity in the chat, but I will just say, go and see the film, see if you like it, and for the spoilers that I have mentioned in the stream, there's still a lot of other stuff going on with that film that I've not opened the lid on. So yeah, go and see it if you can, because it will be worth a treat. And I think even be worth it watching it at the cinema. Spending £15 on food, even though my friends decided to sneak in stuff. That was a funny night. Yeah, I'm the only person there who actually bought the drink. I was going to get a hot dog, but I got nachos instead. I'm the only one seemingly who bought stuff at the actual shop itself. I think it's worth it though. But that's just my personal opinion. But anyway, that's basically it for my personal opinion on the film. Not too sure if I can say anything else about the film. I just think it's a really good film. I think it's one of the. It's alongside the Sonic films, among a lot of the many recent comic. A comic to video game sort of adaptation movie sort of thing that's occurred in the past, at least 10 years, I will say. And yeah, it's a buzz of a time. So go and see it. One more time, go and see it. Go and see it. Give it a chance. If you didn't think you're going to like it, I think you definitely will. So yeah, that's going to be it for my discussion of the film. It was a bit rambly. That is how I roll. Essentially, I am a bit of a rambler. But yeah, that's essentially my review of the film sort of thing. So there's some spoilers. If you're missing the spoilers, I do respect that people may have left the stream because they want to avoid the spoilers. But yeah, hey. I say it's worth a treat. Go and see it if you can. Or pirate, I don't know. I'm not here to judge. But here we go. That's basically it for the film. So I'm going to basically just end the stream there. So for those that came in, so Ekitaha, Lonut or Ionut, or I don't know how to pronounce your name, Mystic Nacho, and Ash, who all popped into the stream. Thanks for popping in. A little bit of a short stream, but this is essentially my first stream on this channel. On my new channel, so to speak. So hope you guys find this interesting. Thanks for the 3 likes. I do appreciate that. And Ash for subscribing. Welcome to the channel. Hope you enjoy my content. That being said, guys, that's going to be it. Thank you for watching. And if you're watching this in repeat, so I hope you found this interesting. Let me know how you feel about my review of it. I'm a bit rambly when it comes to stuff. I do apologise for that. But yeah, as I say, there you go. Hopefully, I actually gave the actually offered as much as the film, I rewarded it with good enough of a review for it, so to speak. Because I'm not always good with this sort of stuff, but this is essentially my feelings on the film. So until next time, guys, I hope you all stay safe, take care, and I hope you have a very good rest of your weekday or whatever, and I hope to see you for a future video, that kind of thing. I'm going to wait to Disneyland for a week. I might have videos up on the channel that I might actually pre-schedule in advance. I might have a couple of Let's Plays and stuff up, so to speak. But that's going to be it for now. So I wish you all well, and I'll see you all next time. Bye now.